What if antibiotics were discovered in the Middle Ages? In the Middle Ages, when the infamous Black Death swept across Europe, villagers danced in the streets shouting, "Well, we're all doomed anyway." But then a strange rumor began to spread. "Hey, did you hear? Over in the Eastern Village, some guy caught a cold and didn't die." Nonsense. A cold is basically a death sentence. But the rumor was true. The village had discovered a strange new medicine called penicillin. The so-called doctor of the village, who was really just the local barber who liked bloodletting, held up a small bottle of the stuff. They say this came from mold, and if you take it, you'll get better. The villagers immediately labeled him a witch. Mold? Curing diseases? Then why does moldy bread make us sick? Barber Bartleby tried to explain. "No, really, I had a cold, but now I can breathe through my nose and no more coughing." People were still skeptical, so Bartleby brought out a man who had nearly died from a festering leg wound just a month earlier. "Look, everyone, he's walking," the crowd murmured. The man waved and said, "Hello, my leg is fine now. Though yes, I'm still being tortured for debt, but hey, small victories." One by one, the villagers accepted penicillin. Even the alchemists started growing mold, claiming to create a new magic potion. But this is where the real problems began. With fewer illnesses, the old excuse of God's punishment no longer held weight. The priests were confused. If a cold isn't divine punishment, then how do we justify collecting all these taxes? Doctors, or rather barbers, had their own crisis. No more bloodletting, so I just cut hair now? Meanwhile, the battlefield was a total mess. "Sir, the enemy took an arrow and didn't die?" "What? Then dip the arrows in mold next time." The king, seeing an opportunity, declared a monopoly on penicillin. Want the cure? Pay the tax. Inevitably, medieval Europe erupted into a new war over penicillin. They called it the Mold Wars. Meanwhile, across the ocean, Native Americans heard the news and burst into laughter. "Seriously? They're fighting over cold medicine? Our grandma just drinks honey tea and sleeps it off." 100 years later, a scientist marveled at a bottle of penicillin. "Wow, this really came from mold? Science is amazing." A medieval ghost beside him whispered, "Yeah, amazing. But back then, eating mold almost got me burned at the stake." History may repeat itself, but it seems even mold has a different value, depending on the century.